I wasn't strong. I was shy and accommodating and, as nice people put it, on the heavy side. But my ambitious, ruthless stepmother had hopes for me. She had signed me up for teen slimnastics, sit-ups and jumping jacks in a group of kids all thinner than I was. The hour before that was summer school physics, likewise her arrangement. 5 mornings a week with the ripple tank and those strange nodal lines where troughs met crests and canceled each other out. I was unsettled by nodal lines, by physics in general, concepts with no footing in my daily life that couldn't even be diagrammed. But ever dutiful, I was battling through it all. But every once in a while, for no reason you understand, you do something your known, familiar self could not have imagined. One August morning, the air thick as usual with damp summer heat, instead of taking my usual aggrieved, bewildered physics notes, I cartooned the chinless teacher as he tried to convince us that hot water could freeze faster than cold. Not in general, not most of the time, but it could happen, he said. Huh? To my left, asswipe Gary Landry said, "That's counterintuitive." To my right, Andrea Holden rolled her mean girl eyeballs. Could? Do you mean in an alternate universe? People laughed, though they probably didn't know what they were laughing at, and Mr. Carstairs turned red, and I felt his pain but of course said nothing. Then, in my exercise class, after some rounds of torturous knee bends, I got stuck in my squat. The one good thing. We were aligned according to weight, and I was on the end. Before shyness or reason could stop me, I had rolled out of line, grabbed my book bag, and was out the gym door. In the parking lot, a wave of terror flowed through me, though no one had followed me. I lay low, crouched between 2 cars, while my heart slowed down. It was a cusp moment, as we were starting to say. It was 1968. Good people had been assassinated. Enraged people were burning down their own neighborhoods. Craziness was spreading. And in Lourdes, Michigan, population less than or equal to 11,000, nervously, inadvertently, I had joined in. I pulled on my skirt, stuffed my sweaty gym tights into my bag, and set off on foot to the park we called the Haight, or, with humility, the Haight Midwest. Even now I can see myself, clumping along in my ankle-length flowered skirt and extra-large leotard, like an immigrant dazed by the strangeness of it all. Our Haight was Lourdes Metropolitan Park, named for Georges and Catherine Bellechasse de Lourdes, the first European settlers in our part of the state. When nothing else was required of us, it was where we hung out, we being my 3 best, in fact, my only, friends. At the entrance was a large stone fountain fed by a spring that had saved the town from a drought in the 1830s. Its water, some folks continued to believe, was curative. Every once in a while, a crutch or an old wheelchair appeared at the base of the fountain, as if a cripple had drunk and been miraculously healed, though the items probably came from kids playing their idea of a hilarious prank. There was also a wooden sign we called fascist. Picnic only in designated area. No alcohol. No loitering. Hours 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And beyond it, a parking lot of shoebox-shaped cars where moms unpacked coolers to be hauled toward the picnic area. "Everyone helps Doreen, did you hear me?" By the restrooms that day, a mom was saying into the payphone, "Haven't we had this conversation before?" I passed the baseball diamond, empty that hot noon, and the tennis courts with a couple of college boys hitting back and forth. I crossed a wide, grassy, weedy field where kids flew kites or caught bugs. And there, sprawled in the shade of our spreading maple by the bluff, their heads together, their backs to me, were 2 of my blessed 3. Their transistor radio was on. They didn't hear me approach, they were talking intently. And all of a sudden I was afraid to insert myself. I stood in the sun outside their oasis, wobbly with the heat and the pleasure of seeing them, waiting for something in their conversation to reach out a hand of welcome. "If you were a homo," said Saint, "you might have an inkling, don't you think? It wouldn't just pop up out of the blue. What's so funny, jackass?" CJ was squeaking with hilarity. He'd try to stop, then look at Saint and burst out again. Man, oh man, are you naive. It was one of their games, insulting each other, their training program for the world's hard knocks. Saint, as usual, was on the defensive, but he was putting up a fight. Let's say you're 30 years old with a wife and kids, and one day you wake up and go, "Oops, sorry, honey, I have some bad news." CJ shrugged elaborately. I don't know this 30-year-old guy of yours, but according to Freud, remember Freud? We have drives we aren't conscious of. Saint threw him a fake punch. Saint was tall and unusually strong. He could have picked CJ up like a suitcase and tossed him off the bluff. But he was a gentle Ferdinand the Bull sort of boy. He had strength he didn't use, that he protected us from. Verbally, though, he was no match for CJ, who had scored so high on the PSAT that he was invited to a genius camp in Telluride, Colorado. CJ had business cards that read, "Have brain, will travel." Seriously, said CJ to Saint. We're not 100% rational beings. We do things and we don't have a clue. We're driven by our unconscious. And how would you know? Saint replied. Are you? CJ shrugged. The radio news praised a kid from the next town who'd been badly wounded in Vietnam, then played God Bless America. Saint laughed, pleased with himself. Is there something you're trying to tell me? By definition, said CJ. We don't recognize our unconscious drives. None of us. By definition. All right, you win. Fuck you. The radio was playing Blowin' in the Wind, my favorite Dylan song. In the blowing wind, they lit cigarettes. They looked out toward the lake in different directions, in a cloud of smoke and annoyance with each other. And, ta-da, now I was needed to clear the air. Hello, surprise! I called out as if I'd just arrived. I stepped forward. Then my book bag slipped off my shoulder. I tried to catch it and tripped and fell. Into them, onto them. Sweaty arms and damp shirts. Freudian slip? The handsome pun came whole to my mind, and I'd already gauged it worthy of being said, but I couldn't say it while I was apologizing, and then Saint was helping to rearrange me while CJ said, You ditched physics, babe. Shame, shame.